people to show up. Well, I'm definitely glad that obviously goes without saying that he missed your eye, because I've had that happen to a friend of mine before. Um,
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't hit my eye either.
oh, like because I know like kitten teeth and claws are basically daggers. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so does he scratch a lot or is
My knuckles are like cut up from him and stuff too, but
oh?
he's just a really playful being. I play with him a lot.
So you guys have an entire, Luigi's mansion behind, like an
Pretty
entire
much.
entire. No, I completely understand. If I had an animal, it would just be like babying them 24/7. Like I wouldn't be able to help it.
It's pretty
Um,
much what we're doing whenever I'm not like streaming or anything. It's just babying him.
do you guys plan on getting any more or?
So right now we're deciding if we want to move back towards like California, like San Diego, LA area, something like that. Stay here, keep you in like apartment in this general area, or rent a house in this general area.
Okay.
So renting is about the same price as us renting an apartment anyway. So
If you don't mind me asking, where you all at?
we're in Dallas.
Oh, okay. Is
Mm-hmm.
is Dallas pretty pricey? I don't know.
Apartments here, like a two-bedroom, 1,700 square feet or something. That's like close to 2K
Oh,
around that.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're originally from San Diego, right?
I'm from San Diego, where things are more expensive than that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I know California is a bit hectic on the prices. That in New York, I don't know. I've always lived in, I don't know what you would call it, more agrarian, like so Nashville or outside of Nashville, Indianapolis,
Mm-hmm.
um, stuff like that. So I don't know. It's like 80 acres for like a 1,500 square foot apartment in New York or something. Like it's ridiculous. Like the pricing differences. Show. Oh, all right, Lord, that's my mod.
Yeah,
um,
it's the boy eclipse.
so show boo. Yeah. Oh, hey, what's going on, Kat? How are you doing, buddy? All right, so we got people showing up, so we will officially start the interview. I feel like there should be a like I can't obviously because we're in two different states, but I feel like I need to offer like coffee and muffins or something because like there's always like this downtime. I don't know.
Uh, we just stocked up the fridge and freezer right before, so I'm good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
you don't want gluten-free muffins. I don't want gluten-free muffins, and I have to
Yeah,
have them.
that doesn't sound like a good time.
No, no. It's like you ever wonder what bread tastes like without any of the ingredients? That's pretty much pretty much it. Um, oh, I appreciate it, Kat. Well, yeah, yeah, we'll check that out later, all right? Okay, everybody. So I know a lot of you all know my guest tonight, but as always, I think nobody can introduce themselves better than the person that is on. So forgiving if you want to, which by the way, I have to admit, if anybody saw it in chat, somebody's going to call me out. So I have to go ahead and admit this. I accidentally put forgiveness as the in the name. So whoops. Anyways, forgiving if you want to. Look, I was gonna do a pun about forgiveness or something like that, and then I completely screwed it up, and I just put me in coach as the title. If you want to go ahead and take a few moments to introduce yourself.
So my name is Forgiving. I'm a top 500 Overwatch flex player. I play all the different roles at a top 500 level. Do a lot of personal like one-on-one coaching and teaching my like viewers how to play the game. And every time I play the game, I just try to give some educational commentary in the background. I'm 22 years old. And I'm from San Diego, and I moved to Dallas recently. And I have a cute kitty named Boo. And yeah,
So, yeah, who's your guest? He kind of cute. You already have people hitting on you in the chat. I know who that is. But anyways,
I've met
um,
Eclipse in person before.
um, nothing about me, but the cat isn't. All right. Hey, what's going on, Richard? Um, always we kind of start with a little bit of background information in terms of, what got you started on Twitch.
So for me, I was playing Xbox Overwatch when it first came out, and I got really, really good at the game. So when the game first competitive wasn't out at the launch of Overwatch, it's like 2 months after or so, and then the season started, and I was the highest ranked player when you would check. There was a site before Overbuff that people would check, see your rank in top 500 because there wasn't a top 500 leaderboard at the time,
Mm.
and I was actually ranked one on that site according to everything. So I was the highest rated player, and everyone started messaging me like, "Hey, do you stream stuff like that?" And I was like, "Okay, I guess I should start streaming." So at the time, it was six stacking. I actually played with another popular streamer at the time on Xbox named DSP Stanky. He was
Oh,
part of our
okay.
six stack. So I played Tracer only in Reaper for the most part. Eventually, I learned Reaper ult was a lot better than Tracer ult in my eyes because you could kill multiple people. So I started playing Reaper because I found him kind of edgy and kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. So
I actually, speaking of which, I just watched last night your 100% win rate unranked to GM solo queue, Reaper only.
yeah,
That
that's where a lot of people have found me actually.
oh, okay. Yeah, I
Hmm.
saw it had a lot of views, but it was and what's so interesting is I haven't really watched Overwatch videos in a long time, so I have all this stuff like uh you
He
know,
recommends like Harv's videos, Red Shells, all these videos now.
well, no, you were the only one recommended in like
Oh,
in between like stuff about horror movies and stuff. It's kind of it was kind of interesting. I don't know what that means. I guess like you know, when people saw you.
I know I got into the algorithm and got kind of lucky in that regard, like against some of my views. And everyone's like, well, the recommend channel section did me a favor for once. Like I actually enjoyed this. Usually no one really cares about the recommended videos.
Right.
So
Well, that's and you put a lot of your educational stuff up on YouTube, right?
I put like 1/100th of what I actually do. I do a
Okay.
lot of work off stream, a lot of personal one-on-one coaching.
Um, in your experience with coaching, what has been the most beneficial for people in
The
terms of
most beneficial for people is usually focusing on like very, very small things at a time. So, for example, if I was watching a Reinhardt, I want him to focus on just how he goes about his initial engagement and how he gets out of a fight when he thinks the fight is lost. Like focusing on very, very little things at a time. You don't want to overwhelm them with information. Be like, oh, well, you should have been hitting this person here. You should have been doing this combo swing, swing, fire, strike. After shatter, you should be fire striking and then pinning because you can get two actions off after a first shatter. I know all these like small details, and that's what kind of gets into for the higher ranks. But focusing on like the base game, like, oh, you should be going in now. You should be backing up now, is usually where most of the knowledge lies, and like explaining why we'd be backing up, why we'd be pushing forward right now.
okay, that's awesome
Mhm.
because I think one of the biggest problems that I've seen with how certain people kind of explain the game in coaching is they take like a gold player for instance and they tell them 50 things that they've done wrong and
Mhm.
they retain zero of the information. So,
Yeah, that's why I try to end with like concluding thoughts because I want to have like a base takeaway, like two or three easy things to take away. I don't want to leave them with that 50 and feeling overwhelmed. So I just reiterate what I talked about earlier at the very end. That's
okay.
how I've always gone about it.
Can you I guess can you outline maybe what a coaching session would entail?
So usually a coaching session would start with, depending on their rank, if they usually are super low rank, I actually double check their settings, make sure they're getting like good FPS. They have their monitor actually set to like 240 hertz in their normal Windows display settings, not just in game. Otherwise, it actually doesn't work. Make sure that they're playing in full screen because if you're playing borderless window and your other monitor 60 hertz, you're actually getting 60 hertz, not 240 hertz while you're gaming. I kind of go over like baseline stuff like that. I usually make them go into practice range really quick and kind of help them with their sensitivity and finding that perfect sense even before I even watch some of the lower ranked players play. Usually with a higher ranked player, I don't worry about that. I get into VOD reviews. It's basically ask people their general, like, what rank are you currently and what heroes do you like playing? Because I want people to play what they actually enjoy at the end of the day because you can play any character up to GM. That's like a big thing that I stress, but some people want to know if their character would be bad in this situation. So I'll be like, yeah, instead of playing this character, you could bet on blank, 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 and this is why. And then on top of that, session usually goes either some people like me to live coach them, like watch them live and give them feedback in real time on what's going on so they can correct problems more proactively. Some people find that overwhelming, so they like to take the route of VOD reviews and doing the same process, just watching the game back.
Okay. And what would
Mhm.
you say is the average baseline of SR for most of the people that you coach?
Average baseline of SR, it's actually kind of weird because one session I usually go from is like bronze.
Hmm.
The next session I go to is like GM or masters.
Okay.
So I'd say it's usually around like high plat is my general like vicinity I'm coaching.
Okay, but with that
Mhm.
that diverse of a range, I mean, I guess what I was going to follow up with next, I mean, is coaching something that everybody can benefit from?
I think most people can benefit from coaching. I definitely feel like if someone is willing to pay for coaching, then they are willing. They are more committed to actually making a change to their gameplay. They're not going to be very very stubborn. Because the thing that I've actually realized with gifted subs actually in my channel, um, a lot of people that get gifted subs and then they come for my VOD review streams on Fridays.
Hmm.
They really try to defend themselves
Mm.
whenever you try to explain why that this isn't good, blah blah blah. They're like, well, I was doing this because blank 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 and blank, and usually they don't seem as keen on improving. So I feel like most people that actually scheduled me for coaching, yeah, everyone. I've never had like a client that I felt like, well, there's been like maybe two out of like 200 that I didn't feel like we're really benefiting from it, since like they hang out in my Discord constantly, for example, and then after a month, I think they're around the same rating. While most people I coach, one of my clients actually takes like very detailed statistics on like what map he's losing on, what comp he's losing against, and like his SR climbs per session,
Okay.
and he climbs like 300 SR every time I coach him for an hour.
Wow.
He's
Oh,
been doing that since like 1500 SR. He's
that
currently, I think, 2700.
that's awesome.
So, yeah.
And by the way, we have not had a coaching session, but I always tell people that if it weren't for people helping me, I would have
Mm,
never climbed. I climbed from 1800 to 3900. Um,
nice.
so not in the top 1%, but I was proud of the effort I made. Um, and I had people like Eclipse, FPS helping me, Prima Dolce, all these people.
Mm,
And I remember as well the assimilation of information going from things like I think I climbed probably 4 to 500 SR just when somebody explained to me playing corners as a tank.
mm-hmm. I was coaching at 800 SR tank the other day, and that was the main talk we had was corners and when he should be pushing past that corner and when he should be backing up to it. And then like sometimes I even had people that really just don't know where to make a corner.
Hmm.
Like they're like, I don't know where to play. I'm like, okay, for a coaching session, do you want to just book me and we just talk about corners on each map or the maps that you feel like you struggle with? It's simple things like that actually make the biggest difference.
That's something
Like
that
100%.
I've always been curious about, and obviously, these are
Hmm.
private one-on-one sessions, so I know
I
that
do
you're.
them on stream at times, so
Oh, okay.
they're not
Well,
that private.
I know
If
that
they want it on stream, I do it.
I know that some people
Hmm.
you've probably kept private what's going on, and I definitely don't want to name names, but
Yeah,
I've always been curious. Has it been there ever been a coaching session where you had an idea going in of what you wanted to talk about after doing the VOD review, and then the focal point became changing the mindset where they weren't necessarily absorbing the information because they were so absorbed with what their teammates were doing and not what they could be doing.
I said that happens very often.
Okay.
Hmm.
And how do you go about like how would you because I've never really taken the time to give somebody advice on that. I usually will tell somebody like, "Hey, listen, if you've been stuck in this rank for so long, you have to look at what because you are the constant factor in every match."
Yeah,
Y-
I always tell people that you are the constant factor in every single match. So, as long I always think of it this way: if you are doing better than the person that's playing your role on the other team, like if you're on that team right now, if you're playing as well as that person or better, if you keep doing that every single game, you are going to climb. Period.
Right.
And the easy way to kind of like view it is like, yeah, your teammates aren't going to play perfectly. You're not going to play perfectly. Well, don't get hung up on their mistakes. Get hung up on your own mistakes. Like
Okay.
what you might deem correct isn't always correct to other players. There's different ways to play the game. You can't think of it very. You can't be. You have to be open to change. Because the best thing to do in the game is actually adjusting the way you play according to how your teammates are playing and know how to do that and what characters suit that style that they're currently playing.
Yeah,
So,
I was talking with a friend of mine, Hero, last night, and he said that
mhm.
one of the teams that he scrimmed on. Oh, you're familiar with them?
Frozen here.
No, the One True Hero.
One True Hero. No, never.
Okay.
My bad.
Um, he and he was talking about how that as a DPS player, he was a little bit more passive. So to get him
Hmm.
in a mindset of being more aggressive, they ended up putting him on off tank,
Hmm.
which was at the team that he was on. And I always thought that was kind of interesting to have somebody kind of change up their mindset based on the role. Do you think that that's something that people should? I know you talked about people playing fun heroes and stuff that they enjoy, but do
Hmm.
you think that sometimes people should take a step back? Like my aim is atrocious. I will never be able to be a Widowmaker. If I got to Diamond on DPS, like I'd be like, okay, this is cool, and it's probably going to be Torb only. Um, but I kind of found my niche in creating space as a tank, and that's once I realized giving up DPS and all that stuff. Not that I don't still play it for fun, but I
Hmm.
realized that what I can do is I can for the best for my team is I can, I can't uh, aimbot, but I can be a Reinhardt and outplay the other Reinhardt. I can play the meta game and outthink them. Do you think people having an introspection going into what role they play is also something to do?
Yeah, so I will talk to people regarding that in a different way, which now that you bring it up, I could even bring it up at like a how you are right now. So when I see someone sometimes playing a character, like let's say they really enjoy playing Ash, but they typically play off tank. I tell them like I try to simplify it in terms like sometimes ask them about like their interests, so then I can try to relate it to like a sport that they like playing if possible, like terms because it's sometimes like overwhelming for someone that's not like familiar with like the Overwatch lingo. So I try
Okay.
to adjust it a little bit. But I'll sometimes tell people, oh, you're playing Ash right now. Think about playing. You know how when you're high energy on Zarya, you know how you can off angle a bit more.
Hmm.
Think of it that way when you're playing Ash if you have your coach gun up. And I try to like get them in that mindset that you can play that far up like a Zarya would that has bubble and is trying to take space, and you won't be vulnerable as long as you have that coach gun, and kind of like adapting in that regard.
Okay, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I never thought of stuff like that. No, I like that. Yeah, I kind of think of things in relation to other things that had been competitive because I'd never actually been competitive in video games. Really, this is actually the first game that I'd been aside from League of Legends, and obviously those are two different things. Although I think they share similarities more than people would acknowledge just based on the fact of ultimates and abilities and stuff like that. Um, but I always kind of likened it to poker, where you don't have control necessarily over your luck, but if you
Mm-hmm.
do the right thing, we'll just take a basic example: pocket aces, right? Best starting hand in Texas Hold'em. If
Mm-hmm.
you go all in pre-flop and somebody calls you, aces get beat 20% of the time pre-flop, but 80% of the time they win. So yes, it is the right decision. It is the right decision every single time. Like there's never going to be like where you should necessarily doubt that as being the right decision in a tournament or cash game or whatever. And so, but people oftentimes hold on to that one hand. There's a famous saying with poker players: they never remember a hand they won; they remember every hand that they lost.
Hmm.
and but getting to that mindset that if you are mathematically doing the right plays, you will come out the winner. I mean, there's a reason that there's you know professional poker players. They're not just the luckiest. I mean, they're people that methodically do the same consistent thing over and over and over again, and that's how they win. Um,
Yeah.
but I kind of always liked that mindset with competitive games. And have you always been a competitive person?
Yeah, I've always been a competitive person. I've been playing sports since I was like 5 years old. I played soccer,
Okay.
played basketball, I ran track, I ran cross country, and then I started playing rugby in high school, and that's what I really excelled at. So
Okay. And so when you transition from sports to gaming, at what point did you start to really get into competitive games?
competitive games I actually started getting into in middle school. I was actually at the time playing at eighth grade of high school, I believe it was. Black Ops 2 was brand new
Okay.
for me. And I was playing and I was Masters rank one in my subdivision. And they did an entire like tournament that if you were playing league play and you finished in a certain like top 10 or whatever, you actually got to go compete at like a very, very big tournament.
Okay.
And I was actually part of one of those teams, and I started competing when I was in 8th grade.
All
So
right. Awesome.
played competitive COD, played competitive Gears of War, and then I moved to Overwatch
What
after that.
and why did you take an interest? I know what you said when you started Overwatch, but what drew you to Overwatch? Was it just something new to try or?
So I was on Twitch since Justin TV, actually, just as a viewer,
Okay.
never as a streamer. So I was familiar with it. I watched Gears of War tournaments on it, Call of Duty tournaments all the time over
Okay.
on Justin. And one day I opened up Twitch and I saw on the front page, I think, and it was Lyric playing Tracer in the beta. I saw
Okay.
Tracer and I saw how unique it was, like two like machine guns, like blasting people and like recall and blink. And I was like, wait, this game looks sick. So then pre-ordered it right away, and then rest is history.
And so, as somebody that's been there from the very beginning, even before there was a top 500,
Hmm.
I do want to talk to you about how the game has changed and in what ways you think it's changed for the better and what ways you think it's changed for the worse.
Um, like a lot of people actually enjoy role queue, and I understand it. Like some people really just want to play one hero and everything, but since I'm a competitive person, I'm all about winning. Like sometimes you might get a one trick that can't. You really, really need a Ana, and that person is only willing to play Zen. But then they have DPS picks they could play or tank picks that they could play. But since you really need an Ana in this situation, it's just kind of like a hard game to win because this one person won't swap. So a lot of time in these situations, having the flexibility that four people, I mean, six people could pick on instead of two people, made it easier to actually get like ideal team comp more often. So I feel like since role queue, the game has actually become more of a meme fest and kind of just do whatever, pick whatever character you want and just slap it on and not really care. So I am a big fan of open queue and feel like role queue was a big mistake, and that actually made a lot of people quit the game that I actually knew
Okay.
prior to that. I enjoyed flexing and not having to grind like three different SRs and the queue times being longer now for DPS. Not really a fan. Just want to get quicker games. And as a top 500, I know I'm like part of the 1%, and we, our queue times are a whole different like ball game compared to other ranks. Like you guys, even on DPS, I know like gold players get DPS games in like 4 minutes from what I've heard. So, um, too much CC being added to the game over the time and adding more characters that get easier value without having to work as hard for it.
Okay.
So like Ash, it's Widowmaker with a dynamite that can hit AoE and AoE damage. Then you have an ultimate that's 10 times better than walls if they don't have an Ana or if you farm them really quick, for example, against like a normal comp. Ash, very easy character. Moira, very easy character. Doomfist, practice Doom for an hour and watch like a rollout video. Boom, your master Doomfist. Pretty easy. Support players hate Doomfist, and I understand why. I'm a tank player though, so they should delete me. Anyway, Echo. Echo's actually a high skill hero, and I don't get as frustrated with Echo compared to like, getting EMP'd off cooldown as a tank. That's not fun.
Right.
So it's just like unfun abilities. Like there were unfun abilities at the start of the game. Like Mei was a thing off the bat, but Mei didn't have chain AoE freeze at the time. It was only her ult. It wasn't on her normal no thermic blaster. So I wasn't a huge fan of that. They introduced Brig. We all know how Brig went. Um, yeah, it's just more CC, not being able to group with friends and GM anymore. That kind of ruined the game for a lot of people as well. The fact that we only can duo queue. A lot of people wish there was like a team role queue, stuff like that, factors like that, because this game is most fun in a team environment with people that you get along with that play heroes that fit around your own play style. And a lot of people would say streamers having fun and people that are like influencers matter a lot because people watch those videos and that makes them want to hop on and go play with their friends. And since we can't do that, it kind of makes it a little bit more depressing for other people because they don't want to play the game. They're like, well, I could go play Warzone and play with three of my friends,
Right.
something like that.
I I feel like one of the biggest issues with everything that they've done is it feels like they went to a shopping mall and they picked this from this game and this from this game and this from this game and they didn't ever figure like to balance it. It's just like a little magpie. They picked everything up that was shiny and put it into the game. Like, oh, CC would be a cool thing and that would help, DPS heroes to self-peel against tanks. Okay, fine, but there has to be a balancing act for the tanks. Like a tank can't just jump in and insta die, unless he waits out for every single cooldown in the game to be out. I mean, that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
seem like there's any type of balance there. And like with Sombra, you know, I mean, what's the total if she EMPs your whole team and then hacks you again? I mean, what's the duration that you can't play the game? You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
it's
10
ridiculous.
seconds.
Tens, yeah.
If they
So
do it correctly, yeah.
but meanwhile, I always liken it to League of Legends, and I know some people don't like that analogy, but I think of a character like Lux, where she puts her passive on you, and then afterwards, she can't do it for another couple of seconds. So she's not just spamming you over and over and over again with the same thing. She'd be broken. So they balanced it by she can only target one person. Uh, like she can do it to this person over here, has to be a 4 second cooldown for she can do it again, but she can do it over to this person who she hasn't done it to first. So that
Mm-hmm.
she has to rotate her abilities if she wants to get that passive. Sombra can just hack you over and over again. It just seems like there's no balance to that, and there's no real outplay to it. People are like, well, I've had people say before, if you're Reinhardt, just turn your shield around, okay, and then expose my back to the entire enemy team and get naded.
Mm-hmm.
There's no,
It's soon a quick flick to actually cancel and then 180 and again to shield main, so they don't have any time for any like thing. It's just you have
okay.
to put it into LS for that half second to cancel the hack. So once you hear the hack animation stop, then you turn back around. It's very, very quick.
Cat's in the gamer cat is freaking out about the cat tree.
Hey, you want me to go grab Boo really quick?
You can, yeah.
Okay.
We kn- we know what the audience wants.
Welcome back.
um, there's other cat in the background. Oh, it's a boo. So cute. All right. Um, so I mean, do you think that balance has been one of their biggest issues? I know you were talking about roll queue and
Yeah,
stuff.
balance has been one of their biggest issues because as a community, we'll say we don't like CC. Like you need to reduce CC, and we're talking about Brig at the time, right?
Right.
That's like the big thing that we're talking about for them to like nerf, kind of play around with. And May was a big thing at the time too. But instead of nerfing just that, they need to nerf May. Ended up nerfing, you know, flashbang on McCree, which no one was complaining about flashbang on McCree
Right.
actually. They nerf Earth Shatter for Reinhardt, which didn't make any sense at all. And they just kind of like are putting their time and efforts into like tweaking the wrong things at the end of the day.
Right.
So recently they've been getting better about it and they've been putting out patches really quick. Like they nerfed Ash Dynamite, which is what I've been like, Ash nerfs, if they nerf anything, they need to touch Dynamite. Dynamite's just such an easy ability to hit. It gets so much value. It farms your ult really quick. You increase either your ult, like how quick you build your ult as Ash by just making it a higher cost, or they need to nerf Dynamite. Nerfing Dynamite in general, because if it's damage boosted before they nerf the damage, if you're damage boosted, it kills a 200 HP target if they don't get healed. Like that's just kind of broken for just boom, toss it over shield. Oh, you're on fire. Have a good time. Like
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that, one of the issues with, like you said, with nerfing and all that stuff, and I could go on a tangent about the Reinhardt thing. That pisses me off so much. Um, because, especially with like ultimates and stuff like that. Like, I think that ultimates should be inherently strong, and that's not where necessarily the weakness of
Mm-hmm.
their balancing is. It's like the basic abilities. Like, take Immortality Field. I mean,
Yeah.
that basically is an ultimate. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that works like an ultimate. Like, hey, you know how Zen did that thing where he could kind of prevent people from dying? Let me go ahead and do this as a basic ability. you know, it-
Yeah, a lot of people said when Baptiste came out that instead of his current ult, just make Immortality Field his current ult and make it undestroyable and last for like 10 seconds, and that would be balanced in a different regard. Like he builds his ult too quick that they'd have to make his ult build a little bit slower for that to be viable with it being undestroyable for 10 seconds, or maybe not 10 seconds, maybe it's like 5 seconds, right? But he still have a place in the game with some ability like that. He doesn't necessarily need window.
Well,
Then
heal.
they could tune him more to make him heal more per second and stuff like that. It's just like they give people too much of a kit sometimes. Just like I feel like that one of their biggest issues when they release characters is they want to make sure that character is really fun. So everyone is like, oh, I
Right.
need to go hop on Overwatch and have a blast on them. And then they have a hard time balancing the character after they make them broken at launch while keeping people wanting to play that character. Like they have to put them in a decent spot, but they can't make them like I don't, like really bad at the game for the game. I don't know.
no, no,
Whatever.
no, 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 no. I gotcha. I think, another issue that's kind of always been peevish of mine is when they come out with a hero that essentially replaces another hero. So,
Yeah.
Zen was the original DPS support, and then they come out, like you said, with BAP, and BAP, the difference between a decent Baptiste and a really good one is the damage output, in my opinion. It's the amount of damage that they can put out.
Yeah, there's a lot of heal bot Baptistes out
Yeah.
there. They don't understand how to do the combo to, maximize damage while they're healing. So
Yeah.
definitely agree with that.
And yeah, Ivan says, Echo with Pharah. Yeah, Echo's a better Pharah. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
$100%.
they come out with heroes that replace other heroes, and you're sitting there like, what? When Sigma, before he got nerfed, he was a better diva. He did everything that diva could do. I mean, the only thing he couldn't do is he couldn't, put his body on the high ground per se, unless he ulted and then dropped on it. But he could still put a shield up there and just, there's a widow sitting up top and he just pushes his shield into her face. There's nothing she can do
Mm-hmm.
about it. So, like, why come out with these heroes that just completely negate other heroes? That's kind of been the thing that's always, bothered me. As you said, why pick, Widow when you can pick Ash? I don't know. It just, ah,
Mm-hmm.
Jeff, please no. The beard is,
Like it goes into a whole different thing with like there's still a reason to pick Widow over Ash, but during double shield meta when there's gonna be two shields in your face like Arissa Sig,
yeah.
Widow wouldn't find any value. Ash still hits dynamite value and everything, and that's why she's played over that. And Ash is easier to off angle with a Sigma due to being able to play those closer angles that Sigma has to play to hit his spheres because they don't go super far. They get like I believe like 20 meters.
Okay. What
So
what and I have to ask because I know that you're well. I don't know that I would say I know it is your favorite hero, but I know that you say your best hero is Diva. Um, I mean, I've heard you say that, right? Or am I imagining things now?
Uh, Diva is my most played
Oh,
hero and
okay,
definitely the character that I feel like I understand the most.
okay,
But I feel like my understanding of Diva is the most because Diva is the character that negates other characters in the game if played correctly. Your goal is to kind of just keep other people in check, and it keeps a lot of like spam characters in check, like minimizing damage and like at good opportunities, and it helps you a lot. But you have to understand every character and their cooldown timers and stuff like that to find the absolute max value on the character. And to get yourself in the mindset of where you think they're going to throw anti-nade, you have to be able to play. If you know how to play Ana, you recognize these opportunities more than if you were to not play Ana. Since I have such a vast like hero pool, in my opinion, I feel like I just find a lot of value on Diva at this point.
I
Uh,
oh.
but I prefer playing Tracer over anyone else in the game. So
No, I understand. Tracer is super addictive when played. I can't play her that. I blink into walls. I had like one game where I popped off the other day. I was like, hey, I was like, this is fun when played correctly. Um,
yeah,
but something I've heard before in other competitive games is that once you get to the very highest levels, that yes, there is sometimes a discrepancy in mechanics between two players, but for the most part, that gap is severely shortened, and it becomes more about the mindset and the metagame, where you're trying to outthink the other person as opposed
yeah,
to directly outplay them.
hundred
So
percent.
so when you go against players, going against players that you might see over and over again, does it get to be where there's more of that meta mind game
Yeah,
going?
so I have an example with that. So I
Okay.
feel like you're familiar with Sinatra, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So Sinatra used to do a thing that he would always triple blink at a spawn door as Tracer and then
Hmm.
try to do a quick one clip to get some free ult charge slash maybe find a kill. So as a off tank player, I would always like if I this was during dive meta, like forever ago, like when Owl was just taking off. Um I was on off tank, I'd be playing Diva, I'd hold Matrix right at the start because I know he's just gonna come in for that triple blink, negate him. And I tell my teammates too. So typically we'd actually start with the McCree and they would flashbang him instantly and then headshot him and then swap to Tracer like how they would typically play. So
Right.
we'd kind of, you recognize people's habits and like what they like doing. Like every time I'm against like maybe a Doomfist main, like I know I'm against Chipsa. I'm on first point Eichenwald. I know he's gonna do that roll out from the top of the castle, land behind the bridge.
Right.
I'm waiting to bubble it as Zarya. I'm waiting to do whatever. I'm waiting there as Sombra to hack him if I'm playing Sombra. Like it becomes a lot of that, and if you know who you're playing against, you can adapt your play style.
Okay. Now,
Mm-hmm.
now going off of that, again, the poker analogy, I know poker players who are at the top level, they play against each other all the time. And one of the things that throws them for a loop is when they go to tournaments and they're playing against people who don't necessarily know how to play the game properly. And they
Mm-hmm.
can figure out reads eventually. Like a top tier poker player will eventually be able to read you. It doesn't matter if they've played
Yeah.
with you. It's just going to take them a matter of time. It's not an if, it's a when. But when you go down to lower ranks, which I'm not sure what a low rank or lower rank for you would be, considered.
Mm-hmm.
But does sometimes do you see people? This might be a rhetorical question. You see people doing stuff, and you're like, "All right, that caught me off guard because nobody should ever do that."
Yeah, I've done like so I've done unranked GMs. Obviously, I played in other ELOs before. While I'm doing a series like that, sometimes like I expect someone to strafe in a certain direction because that's how someone would normally respond to what's going on, and then I'll completely whiff my projectile or whatever when I'm playing Hanzo because I'm like they should have been moving like that. They should have been strafing. And they walk in straight lines, and then you're like, okay, I realize this person's just gonna walk in straight lines the entire game, and you adapt to that. Or it's like, oh, this hog shouldn't be like over here. Like, why is he flanking here? Blah blah blah. This is kind of weird. Then for the rest of the game, you kind of have that in the back of your mind. Like you start figuring out what people are trying to do on the other team, and then you play around it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And forgive me for not no, pun intended. Um, sorry, the screen just goes black. The call has been ended. Um, I don't know necessarily a whole lot about your background in terms of like teams you were on and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know that you were on some or you have some scrimming experience. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what was your? Can you tell us about like the history of like your experience and stuff like that with those, like with the
Actually,
teams and?
with Overwatch, I actually haven't played on too many teams. I don't
Okay,
really. I get offered to like trial and play on certain teams, but for me, obviously, streaming is like my income,
right.
everything. I have a lot of bills and all that, so I don't really want to invest too much time into something that I'm not sure will net me results. And at the end of the day, I know if I spend that time working on maybe a YouTube video or work on a series, I know I can expect like another subscriber to my Twitch channel or on YouTube or something. Like I see, like returns at the end of the day. With grinding like open division, I don't know, I don't want to rely on other people. Sometimes that's kind of my mindset.
Hmm.
I want to just do something that I know I can do myself.
Do you think a lot of
So I
people?
played
Oh,
on a team though, and it was actually the original goats team.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
I didn't
like
have a good
goats.
experience with a player on the roster
Ah,
and everything, and then once they kicked my friend that actually joined because of him, I was like, all right, I don't want to be here anymore. So
uh,
yeah, haven't played on the team since then.
I gotcha. When I said I like goats, I was talking about the meta. I actually liked goats.
Me too.
As Reinhardt, it was fun. Because it was all about, from my perspective, it was all about like outplaying the main tank.
It's
Uh,
fun on any role, in my opinion.
yeah. Um, especially for I think the most fun it was probably for Divas, Reinhardts, and Lucios, in
I
my
think it was the
opinion.
most fun for Zarya's actually, because they were like the straight
Oh,
damage.
okay.
Hmm.
Um,
I had fun playing Ryan and Zarya in the meta. I played Diva for my team, And on ladder, a lot of people won't want to play Brig for some reason, even though it's hold mouse one and walk into them for the most part at the time,
Right.
and then throw your armor pack on your Reinhardt. I'm pretty sure at the time because it's just one armor pack, and you did that so he had less chance to get bursted. And it's just walk into them, and then you try to stun for shatter, and that's like the coordination, like or boop them out. So
Right.
I don't know.
I just always liked Lucio. I don't really play Lucio, but it was always fun to watch Lucio's as they try to isolate and boop somebody in. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but as far as like the scrimming experience and stuff like that, I do kind of understand what you're talking about, like not relying necessarily on other people. Do you think that a lot of, because I see a lot of high level players who stream a lot, but they don't really grow their stream. So now we're kind of going to the stream.
Mm-hmm.
Do
Yeah.
you think a lot of players get like the sunken cost fallacy, um, where they think that okay, I've spent so much time grinding in the competitive scene, I should keep grinding instead of then working to try to take the knowledge, take the skill set that they have, and try to build their stream. They're still holding on to that dream of being a pro player, even though, and I'm not trying to denigrate anybody, but even though it hasn't happened in like a year and a half.
Okay, so from what I've seen with people doing that, a lot of people just enjoy playing on the team and they don't see it as an investment and they're not really thinking about their future. They're just thinking of like, I'm 17 right now. I live with my parents. I don't really have to worry about much. Like, I have a part-time job, so I can like go hang out with my friends and go out and all that. Can I just commit the rest of my time to just playing on this like open division team and everything? So that's most of the people in open division that I'm familiar with.
Okay.
And there are some like contenders players that are in a team house, like very, very little contenders teams do that, especially ever since COVID and everything. And Path to Pro has been falling apart over the past year, like a lot of teams dropping out
Hmm.
in general, less team houses overall. I believe it was Third Impact had a team house in contenders trials. I'm pretty sure Fuels, Envy, Team Envy had a team house for their players. XL2 had a team house. That's what's off the top of my head. I believe those are the teams. So, a lot of people, I feel like, yeah, they have like 3 years in Overwatch, and they're like, well, I'm so good at this game. A lot of people feel like since they're good at this game, they have to keep playing this game because they are like, I know a lot of people that are like, I'm really good at Overwatch, but I'm not good at, I don't know, Warzone or Valorant. So they're like, I don't want to play that game because I'm not good at it. And I'm like, well, are you ever going to get good if you don't play a different game?
Right.
At the end of the day, it's like, if you don't really enjoy Overwatch at this point, what are you doing? Like, why do you still play it at the end of the day? It's like, oh, I'm good at it. Well, aren't games supposed to be fun at the end of the day? Like, if you don't really enjoy what you're doing, you probably should go do something else. That's how I view it.
Yeah. And
So,
I completely agree with that. 100% concur. I think that also too, even if you're putting on a smile, people can feel when your energy, and I'm not talking about some psychic thing, but I mean people can feel
mhm,
when you're not having fun. They can feel when you're
yeah.
not having a good time. And if you do this, like I've said before, cuz and I was talking about this with Unsalted Salt, you know, this is why I think you should always strive to be who you truly are because on
Mhm,
stream 8 to 10 hours a day, if you are getting frustrated but you keep putting on, eventually you're going to show your frustration. You're only human. Like, I mean, somebody's
yeah.
going to, they're going to get tilted, especially when you're a bigger streamer and you have that fifth game where somebody's stream sniping and ending your game because they think it's funny or whatever. Um, you're going to eventually just, I don't, I mean, doesn't mean that you're going to break TOS. It doesn't mean that you're going to be a completely different person, but it does mean that at a certain point you're going to be like, hey, this dude's an asshole. like,
Yeah.
um,
I
I,
definitely see my fair share of people like, snapping on stream. I'm someone that like whenever I'm in a bad mood, I'm very obvious about it. Like I don't hide it at all. I'm like, I'm in a shit mood now.
right.
Like, and then I just end stream typically because I don't want to sit there and like portray that. So
Yeah, and by the way, I don't know how my cam got flipped. I legitimately
I don't
don't know.
know.
Um, so Twilight Zone, do. Um, well, I like I said, I appreciate that. I appreciate that the person you are on stream is the person that you are off stream.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and do you think is time? Because I kind of want to talk a little bit too about streaming, and if you don't want to talk about this, we don't have to at all. But
I'm cool with it.
one of the things that I always, because part of the reason of doing this podcast is that a lot of people have, I think, misconceptions. Even if they're just starting streaming and they've had some experience with it, they have misconceptions about what goes on. Kitty, that what goes on, through a streamer's day and like through their mindset and stuff like that, or they think it's all glitz and glamour and that there's never any downsides to it. I know I've personally had the experience where streaming has been, and it's not because of the community, it's not even because of the games, it's just being on camera, it's been very mentally taxing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how do you kind of deal with because you've talked about this on stream on your stream before.
Yeah.
How do you deal with like the mental taxation of streaming? I mean, and we can talk about Overwatch as a competitive game, but I feel like it's more, even if you weren't playing Overwatch, I mean, I've seen streamers get frustrated with Animal Crossing. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
so I mean, there's the mental taxation. I don't think is it might be um, exacerbated by the game, but I don't think it's inherent with the game.
Okay, well, the thing that it gets under a lot of streamers like skin at the end of the day is things that happen in chat.
Okay.
A lot of the time people talk about like you're basically just like a glorified babysitter at times. Like sometimes people are gonna be like, saying like bad things and you need to kind of keep everything in order because at the end of the day you're responsible for what happens in your own chat room.
Right.
That's part of being a streamer. So some days, you might run into, someone that like you threw their game in Overwatch, right? So then they're gonna send all their friends to your stream and try to like get you in trouble and harass you, stuff like that, and try to get underneath your skin. You need to have a balance of knowing when to ignore chat and just try to push it off, and then you know move on with your day. It's like, yeah, depression is like a real thing for streamers. Like we sit in our room, we don't go outside all day. Like I'm live for 8 hours a day. Typically, I do 2 to 3 hours of coaching off. Well, 2 to 4 hours of coaching off stream every day, or maybe sometimes even 5. Saturdays when I'm not streaming, you think I'm taking an off day? Usually, I'm coaching for 12 hours straight on Saturdays. Um, at the end of the day, it's just laying in. You just sneeze on my PC. Um, at the end of the day, it's just laying in bed and like just disconnecting from everything, like not looking at your phone, spending time with like your girlfriend, for example, your kitty, both. It
he's
helps a
he's
lot.
got to include both now because he didn't.
And for me personally, taking like vitamin D supplements because I don't actually go outside helps me a lot. So,
Well, kind of playing off of that too. I've always been a big proponent. I think that your physical health it has
mm-hmm.
a drastic impact on your mental health. Do you still? I know you said you play sports. Do you still like go to the gym or?
Probably haven't been to a gym in a year, something. Ever since we moved here to Dallas, I have not gone to a gym. I know that much. But that's mostly
COVID, yeah.
COVID, other people being dumb. Like you see the people wearing their masks, not covering their noses,
Yep.
stuff like that. I just don't want to be around them.
Yeah, what do they call it? Well, they call it chin diapers at that point because they're just covering their chin. They're not covering anything
Mm.
else. Um, uh, bored.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of things about making sure you exercise, eat healthy. But honestly, I eat fried food every single day. I
Right.
drink soda. I'm not healthy at all. I don't gain weight because my metabolism and everything, but I'm not healthy. So,
I feel like Grandpa Simpson. I used to be in shape like you, and then look what happened to me. um, let's see. Wait till you're 30. Yeah, no, I am. That's the thing.
it's
Uh,
not about me.
oh, okay. I just started getting more serious with streaming yesterday, and my biggest issue at the moment is getting bored because no one's there. I think that Tigers. I think that's a problem that everybody has when they first start. And you've heard me, if you've ever been to the podcast before, you've probably heard me say this a million times, but I'll say it a million and one. You really have to become even if you're an extroverted person to begin with, but you have to become somebody that takes your inside voice and uses it outside. So, for instance, if you know that their Ryan has, if you're playing Overwatch and you know that their Ryan has Shatter, you can't just, for the sake of chat, even, you might tell your team that, but even if you're not planning on telling your team, even if you're not in voice, you almost have to utter that for, the sake of still speaking. I mean, because, there's a lot of people that come to streams and you have probably 30 seconds for a new person to grab their attention. Now, I do think that there's, in a 30K viewer stream, people have to be realistic. You're not going to grab the streamer's attention unless you drop a insane donation or something like that, and even then you're only going to catch their attention for that. But like they're not going to be able to have a full-on conversation with you because chat's just a wall of memes at that point.
Mhm.
Um, but for new streamers, and I think every viewer is crucial. I really, really do. And I look at my community and some of the communities that I'm a part of as family. But when you're first starting off, those first couple of viewers are extremely crucial, and a lot of them are only going to give you about 30 seconds to a minute of their time because there's 300 million channels that they can go to. Even in one category of games, there might be 30,000 channels that they can go. And a lot of times they specifically will come to smaller streams so that they can talk with the person. Um, oh, Lord. Nobody pick on Vidiot. He kind of picks on himself. Um, but I think that that's something where uh, he's Forgiving's been doing it longer than I have. He definitely has way more insight into that, I'm sure. So I don't know if you
Mhm.
want to give any advice to Tigers or
So I recall finding a useful YouTube channel years ago named called Alpha Gaming. It's run by Harris Heller, I believe.
okay.
He recommends like streaming equipment, how to build your stream, how to go about all these like scenarios that you're thinking of, like what do I do when I have no viewers and how do I get out there? Simple as this, like that boost of having a couple of your friends but watching your stream does help you get yourself out there a little bit more. Genuine, like if you're playing Overwatch, for example, and you're being look super nice in voice chat and everything, people are gonna friend you and then they're gonna find out you stream. It's not necessarily putting your stream out there, being like, hey, I stream. A lot of the times people kind of just assume in the gaming culture now, they're like, hey, do you stream if they like someone? Or they're funny. For example, if you're super funny, they're like, wait, are you a streamer? Can I come follow you or something? You don't really need to plug yourself all the time. Some people will actually find plugging themselves like in a high elo lobby. If you have XQC on the other team or something like that in Overwatch, if you actually plug, you're just going to get harassed. And none of those people actually, like, it's going to just be like, a lot of people say there's nothing called like bad attention, but that actually breaks the tie that you might have like down the line. Because like, I remember forever ago, do you remember Moon Moon?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I was friends with PvP when he first moved to PC at the time. And I remember him plugging his stream because he did that all the time when he was first growing. And Moon Moon instantly blocked him and then was just always mean to him after that. And it's like you don't want to always cut ties with people at the end of the day. That just bites you in the ass. You want to be nice to everyone as possible. That's how I view it. You never know, is what I say to people. You never know who's gonna be that next like huge supporter of you, your next best friend, your next like viewer at the end of the day. Treat everyone like they watch you. Like you need to be nice to a lot of people is how I view it. But a lot of people say when you're streaming, act like there's someone always there. You have to always be putting on a show, even if you know no one's watching. That's what part of streaming is. So even if you're a zero viewer, talking like calling out like, hey, Reinhardt no shouter here, just saying
All
something at all. Because if you go into a stream and the streamer's just sitting there like this for like 2 minutes, like me, because I do this all the time, like
right.
and you have a cam on and you're just sitting there all awkward, are they gonna be like, I'm entertained by this, I love this content right now? They're like, oh, it's just another person playing the game. I want some personality, I want something else along with that. We're not only here for gameplay most of the time. A lot of people, they're only there for gameplay, that usually watch like let's plays on YouTube that don't have any like audio on top of it. I don't think people usually go to Twitch just to watch someone only play the game
Right.
and like not learn from it. At least like maybe a high ranked player, then you can learn from it. But a normal like goal player playing the game. Do you know you have to do more than that.
I completely agree. And that's why I've said before to people that have been to the podcast, there's a reason why you will find diamond players with 100 viewers and why there's some players who are 4.4K and above who have 3. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a reason for that. And also too, one of the things about Twitch that is kind of superseding things like TV. I mean, we've still got some streaming services, but as I've said before, I haven't watched cable TV in years, probably 6 or 7 years. But even before, that, what was kind of becoming, mundane about TV in general was there was nothing to differentiate shows between other shows. And eventually coming to Twitch, it became this might be a strange way to look at it, but I've always looked at it this way. It's TV you can interact with. You can
True.
you can watch somebody, but you can also get to know them. I mean, I can watch, what's the new Ryan Reynolds film coming out, but I can never talk to Ryan Reynolds. I'm never going to be able to talk to him. But Ryan, if you see this, if you want to know, um, but but you got to have a cat like Boo. Um, it's one of those things, and also bring a bottle of vodka. It's no, he's got his own brand of vodka. It's kind of weird. I think it's like Pilot or something like that is what it's called. But
Hmm.
it's TV that you can interact with and you can get to know people. And if you're not, the other thing is too, know that putting yourself out there, not everybody's going to like you. Like that's just a fact of life.
Yeah, true.
I've had people, in my past at parties I went to be like, I don't really care for you. Like, okay, that's a strange thing to tell someone, but hey, at least we know where we stand. So you're going to have people that are not going to like you. You're going to have bad interactions and all that stuff. But I can say unequivocally, and I've always been against social media, and I know that this is social media, so it's a tad hypocritical, but that you get into something what you or you get out of something what you put into it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are constantly striving to make your chat, you know, as good a community as you can make it, if you're constantly trying to include people and not be inclusive and not be divisive, like you will, yes, there will be trolls that come to your chat, especially the bigger streamer you are, the more that's going to happen. And I feel terrible that that's happened to you, but I do know that that is an unfortunate, it shouldn't happen, but it's an unfortunate reality of growing your stream.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and because people are going to be envious, people are going to think that they're owed your success, and people are going to be vindictive. I mean, people are going to remember that time they had one bad interaction with you 2 years ago, and they're not going to realize that one, people grow, and two, they might have been at fault too. Um, and as you're growing your stream, you really do start to notice that communities are reflections of the streamer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that,
I agree with that.
I think that in one way that can be detrimental, but in another way it's pretty awesome because, you know, if you put in honest effort to it, what you're getting out of it is pretty fantastic, I believe. You're finding a group of people that genuinely want to make an effort in their day to come hang out with you. It's not because they're your coworker. It's not because you're in a band together and they have to associate with you. They're
Mm-hmm.
coming to chat because they genuinely like being. What are people spamming in? What emotes are people? Oh, smile,
Forgiving smile.
smile.
Yep.
I was gonna say, Vidiot spams the knife. Uh, chat troll, but looks like a okay cat. um, so I do think that that's really cool. And so now I have a confession time to make. Um, we actually met a long time ago. Um,
Oh.
I had a different username, and when I came in at the time, I think you had an average of 15 to
Mm-hmm.
20 viewers. And and
Okay.
I and I tell this story because this is proof in what I'm talking about. Where I came in, I think you were having a really rough game, and I
Mm-hmm.
made a comment about liking your music,
Oh.
and you said to the effect of, well, at least I got good music. I was like, oh, I was like,
I think I remember that.
I feel bad now. And
I
so
think it was on King's Row
it
for some reason.
it might have been, but I ended up. coming back because I saw the way that you were interacting with my friends, whether it was R, Eclipse, whether it was Yankee,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, this dude's a really, seems to be a really awesome dude. I'm gonna go back to the stream, and and now you've got, I think I subscribed for like 6 months or something like that. So
Huh.
like, you know, you can. I also don't want people to be fatalistic in thinking that if you do have an interaction with somebody, like it's a done deal, because I think you're a fantastic person. I don't know how often people tell you that, and it might be awkward to hear, but I do think that you're a really cool dude. And
Well, I
again,
appreciate
I
that.
was I was judging it by I was judging it by the interactions you had, with friends, because once you got partnered and all that stuff, you were coming to other smaller streamers chat, and you were
Mm-hmm.
very cool, you were very humble, you were having conversations with people, because I've seen other people come to chat and they immediately start trying to ego people in smaller streams, and it just was one of
There's
those
a
things.
weird part with that though, Yanni. When it comes to like, going to other people's streams, sometimes you start getting
Hmm.
people being like, "Ah, forgetting, oh, are you that unranked GM person?" Blah blah blah, or "Oh, hey, hi," and it's like a lot of people like recognizing you in there, and then like I don't want that attention actually when I go into like on my friend streams. I actually kind of want to just go in there, hang out, just say hi, ask them how their day is going, kind of lurk around, and just have like a normal interaction. I don't want to make the stream about me and
Okay.
not about the streamer. So sometimes I purposely don't talk when I go into other people's streams
Okay.
because
Well,
that's like a thing that happens all the time now. Who's
apparently Boo hit the mute button.
talk when I go into other right now? I'm muting everything because that's like a thing that happens all the time now. Ah, boo. You having a good time, bud?
Boo the DJ. So,
All right.
um, well, putting it into that perspective, okay, that makes more sense. And I honestly, I had not thought of that. I guess I was always happy to talk and meet with,
Mm-hmm.
new people. But I do appreciate that perspective. And as I always say, if I got something wrong, please let me know, whether it's
No, no worries.
you or anybody else, because I don't have, definitely don't have all the answers, and I definitely don't have, I've not been doing this a year. Um, so definitely, yeah, Boo mixtape. Yeah, mixtape. Boo's mixtape is fire. We'll put a beat to it. Uh, so no, I think that that's really kind of something that's interesting. And as far as your you becoming partner, I always get to ask people what it was like hitting that go live button for the first time. And you're more than welcome to answer that, but I also would like to know, what it was like, the feeling of getting that partnership program. I saw the tweet, but I'd like to.
So for me, I obviously kind of grew pretty quickly from that like 20, 40 viewer streamer. Because if I stream late at night, it was basically videos been around me for a while, for example, or clips. At night, I'd get like 60 viewers during the day. If I stream at like a normal hour, I get 20. And I purposely played that later hour because that's how I felt like I was getting growth actually than the day. But started growing from YouTube. It wasn't from Twitch. I had way more discoverability on YouTube and for what I was trying to end up doing, which ended up being coaching down the line. I remember actually being in some people's streams. Just like I found out Flats and Somju got partnered the same day as me earlier in the day, and I was like,
Oh,
I
okay.
feel like I submitted my application around when they submitted it. I should be like kind of seeing it soon. And I remember just hanging out in someone's stream. I see in the top left corner, I have a new notification. I mean, top right corner, I see you have a new notification. I didn't see the email first. I saw the notification in the top right in Twitch. You've been accepted to the partner program. I was like, wait, what? And I remember just like crying, I think, like hanging out with Kat. And she's like talking about how proud she was or something along those lines. And then I went to sleep and actually, like, I didn't stream, I already streamed that day. I put out a tweet, all that stuff. I went to sleep eventually, and then I woke up the next day and I actually had a lot of hate on me.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Well,
I had some bad interactions with people basically years ago. Um, and they all started trying to accuse me that I view botted my way to partner and stuff like that,
Mm.
and trying to like undervalue like what I've been like working towards, and so that kind of ruined it for me. So I wasn't really happy after that.
Well, I know we can't make up for that exact moment, but if anybody is in chat that hasn't had a chance to meet Forgiving, can we spam some, I don't know, emotes for him for getting partnership? Because I still think that's a hell of an accomplishment, and that's on the road. Um, yeah, here I'll start as always. No, no, I think because here you go. All right, look, let's not. Ah, you know what? Go for it. Go for it, Eclipse. Um, oh no, Joe, don't say that.
No,
Um,
no. So for me, I didn't really actually find like any enjoyment, which is like weird. I know because everyone else would be like, I'd be so happy that I finally got it. I get all these new emote slots. That's the only thing I really thought about at the end of the day. I was like, oh, I finally get more emote slots. Like I can finally give more to you guys for supporting me. And that's how I kind of viewed it. So
okay. Well, and
yeah,
you have some of the best emotes on Twitter. No, you really do. You really, really do.
I'm glad
And
you like them.
and as always, here's my favorite combo. Um,
Um,
it's a Rickles emote. um, oh,
I'm
that
planning on
was
getting a couple boo themed emotes eventually. Like I'm planning on changing out headpad eventually for you get a headpad boo,
aw.
stuff like that.
Delete that. Um, but the thing about it is that I do, and I don't want to make this about me, but that does resonate with me more than you might realize. I mean, I used to run around with a friend circle. They weren't friends. They were jealous, bitter people, but I was so socially awkward at the time that because they were willing to hang out with me, I thought that they were friends.
Mm-hmm.
And, the older I got, the more I realized that. Um, and it was one of those things where I go back to the sunken cost fallacy. I was like, well, I've known this person for 20 plus years. You know, surely they've got to like me on some level. Um,
Mm-hmm.
nope. One of the people, in fact, I'm talking about when my mom got cancer, when she got breast cancer a couple years back, he didn't text, he didn't call, he didn't email, he didn't do anything.
I'm
And
sorry.
and I know that he knew because his mom actually sent his mom had breast cancer, and she actually sent my mom a card. So there's no way he
Mm-hmm.
didn't know. And so you have these people in your life, um, and I think a lot of us do go through that where it takes a long, long time to find people that are true to us and who appreciate us, mistakes and all. And and I think that that is something that again we shouldn't have to go through, but we do. So again, I remember you from 20 viewers till now, and I think what you accomplished is a hell of a thing. I always remember you being spoken of highly by numerous people whose word I hold at high value. And so I don't know these people. I don't know who you're talking about. We're obviously not going to mention them.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
Yeah, yeah,
mention them.
yeah, yeah. No, well, I won't want
Hmm.
to anyway. Um, but for whatever their opinion is, I know that there's a ton of other people who have you in high regard. So, you
Yeah,
know,
no.
I
It's
definitely
like you just forget that in the moment a lot of the time, though. There's
no,
just reality to it. Like everyone remembers the negatives more than the positives at the end of the day.
no, and
Like I know a lot of people have my back.
yeah,
So.
it's one of those things where I make it a point to let people know when they come on the podcast that it wasn't because I thought it would be just an entertaining podcast. Like if I know that somebody's spoken of highly, I want them to come on,
Mm.
because I still want to maintain that level of character in community and stuff like that. So I think what you've done is awesome, man. And for anybody that hasn't had a chance to meet him, hasn't had a chance to go follow, please do so. If you scroll up like a little bit, you'll see about 5,000 spams from Eclipse spamming his channel. Uh, so, but yeah, Kat, we'll get to the question Q&A here in just a little bit. Okay, I do want to bring up one thing. Um, uh, what are your, going forward? Um, what happened? Oh, the links. Oh, whoops. Um, Going forward, what are your plans with like the stream and stuff like that?
So actually, I have a lot of plans. So it's starting to streamline my content, like my private coaching, like getting better about taking the good pieces of information I feel like which are very relatable to people and turn those into videos and like making tip videos for each rank, kind of going through that and how to adjust your mindset for how you play the game, like tips and tricks to like kind of streamline ranking up overall in Overwatch. And in terms of outside that, yeah, I plan on doing some more unranged GMs. Like as characters and meta shift, characters are played differently, and I kind of want to, do things depending on what's meta at the time. If I feel like a guide is now outdated, I'm gonna redo it. Blah blah blah. Outside of that, I eventually do. If I ever become like a big time streamer or something, I do actually want to venture into variety streaming because I actually like playing all types of games. I don't know, only care to play competitive shooters.
Okay.
So,
So that begs the question: have
hmm
you played Phasmophobia?
no, I had friends that asked me to buy it recently, and I haven't watched it enough. I
Okay.
watched Fran play it for like 10 minutes the other day in between my coaching sessions, but I just haven't had any time yet. I've been thinking about buying VR though recently, so
Oh, that'd be
I,
awesome.
I want to play that game in VR if I did play it.
Oh, I didn't know it was in VR. That'd be
Yeah, it's
actually
in
really
VR
cool.
as well.
Um, so as always, I really appreciate this. And do you mind if we go now to the Q&A section?
Yeah, so cool
Okay.
with me.
All right, everybody. If you all want to go ahead and ask some questions, Kat, I know you had a question you wanted to ask. Okay, well, we can go ahead and start with Tigers, actually. So, why wait to do variety streams? Like any specific reason?
It's very actually hard to grow your channel as a variety streamer typically. Most people that successfully transition to variety streaming, have been big on Twitch for a while because of being very popular in a game forever ago. Like Summit had his break with Daisy forever ago, right? That's where he really started taking off years back, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Daisy, um, everyone kind of has a game that kind of launches themselves into that like 1,000 viewer plus range, and then once you get to there it's easier to branch off to other things. I'm not currently at that spot that I could comfortably pay bills if I were to take a huge like hit in terms of subs and stuff like that, that it just isn't smart to take a unnecessary risk right now. A
Okay.
lot of people would do like a soft transition and see interest in their community. Sometimes like communities for me, being educational like Overwatch streamer, am I going to be educational if I'm playing a game for the first time and stuff like that? Like people come to me for educational content, not for straight personality. I feel like most of the time I do feel like some people like my voice or my like very calm personality, but getting more people like that before I can make that jump at the end of the day. So
Okay. And I've
mhm.
heard numerous other people concur with that as well. That they didn't go variety until they got to a comfortable spot, or at least until they, got partnered. Um, let's see here. So that was Tigers. Cho wants to know plans for sub games.
Wait, what? More sub games?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a plan that we had forever ago to start doing like sub games Saturdays and everything. And once I start figuring out my schedule a bit more and getting like a constant YouTube uploads up, then I want to start implementing sub games. But before I start getting all this content out that I want to get out to increase exposure and everything, I just can't do it yet.
Okay.
Eventually, I want to do sub games at least once or twice a month. So,
Now, Kat has her survey that she has to do. Um, Number one, Megamind or Shrek? is your favorite movie?
Shrek.
Shrek. Okay. Number
Mm-hmm.
number two, Cat. I don't know what that means. How do I don't.
Based off the keys that are kind of new, I'm assuming such badass hair.
Oh, there you go.
That's what I'm assuming. Just growing it out
Yeah,
and then just shaving the sides.
that's where you say
So
I grew it myself. Um,
yeah, pretty
uh,
much.
favorite Pop Tart.
Favorite Pop Tart? Fudge brown sundae one.
Oh, okay. And number four, would you like to be friends?
Sure.
Pog. My question would be, how does one get coaching done by you?
So I have a coaching section in my Discord, and I also have a link !coaching at twitch.tv/forgiving, and yeah, can book coaching there. Or I
Pog.
do some VOD reviews every single Friday.
Um, are these podcasts put on YouTube for later? Yes, they will be put up. Well, one, I need to find a, honestly, I need to find an editor, a video editor, because I don't know how to do it myself. Um, but they will be put up on YouTube, um, and I'm getting yelled at right now in my own chat. What do you mean, swear to God? What? Hit Diamond after being hard stuck plat for 2 seasons. No more plat chat. That's awesome.
Congrats, Alvin.
Um, eh, you know, I've had people smack me before. Uh, aw, so cute. Where do you plan on uploading that game where you had 4 shock players or something on your team?
I'm going through my YouTube content after this probably and figuring out what I'm uploading.
Oh, okay. Um, as far as the videos that I was talking about, like this podcast and others, like they'll be put up this week for sure. Oh,
Okay, cool.
so hopefully you all can check out the ones that you haven't. As always, for the meantime, they are in the past broadcast if you haven't had a chance to check them out. Um, when do you plan on streaming more consistently?
I've been streaming every day except weekends. So
um,
can you just lay in there now? Okay.
how often did you want to upload again?
I want to upload 3 to 4 videos a week eventually. That's my goal.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hmm.
Um, well, okay.
Currently, it's one video every 2 months, so doing great over here.
No, hey, that's okay. You just gotta say you're more selective about the content. You're like, yeah. Oh.
Well, it's because I've only been uploading unranked GMs, and I just have to level up an account. And playing quick play for that long is just not very fun.
So, um, but what are your other passions?
I don't really have any. I like clicking on heads, and I like watching Netflix.
Any Among Us content coming?
No, I don't actually plan on doing any Among Us content. I do Among Us with people in my Discord, actually. Like, I used to do it almost every single night when the game first was taken off and everything. But recently, I've been kind of just wanting some alone time. So,
Okay.
I've been doing it as often.
Eric is an Among Us tryhard. Um,
I'm really good at that game.
uh, so I think what we're gonna do now is we are going to um, start to wrap things up as Boo has taken over clearly. Um,
Yeah.
and as always, you know, amongst other things, of course, thanking you for coming on, thanking you for the time. Um, I thought this was, awesome. So it was a lot of fun. Uh, and since you're not going to be streaming, do you want to pick who we raid?
Um, no, I feel like you should. I don't really have anyone on right now. You could raid your friend Yankee actually.
Okay.
Yankee's online right now.
Let's see.
Or Dumpster.
You know what? I think I rated Yankee the other day, and I rated Hero. Um, all right, we'll do. Well, actually, let's see here. What I'm gonna do is, if you're gonna leave it up to me, I am going to raid. Yep, Bees. He's a friend of that I met through Reed.
Very
Uh,
cool.
and what I'm trying to do this month. Um, yeah, Kat. We'll put it in the promo section, Kat. Um, but what I kind of want to do is a big um, and don't worry. You're he's a partner. He's not a part of this. Is kind of as a heck you back to Twitch for the way that they're handling raids right now. We're gonna raid somebody with 5 viewers or below. So
Okay.
so we're gonna go ahead and raid Yep Bees. Playing Overwatch. Again, friend of Reed's that I met, and he was pretty awesome. Uh, bees. Yep, bees. Sort of got a clips. But anyways, thank you all so much. This was an awesome, um, an awesome experience as always. Um, let's see here. Here's the Discord if you all are not in it. Here's the Twitter. Um, as always, drop for giving a follow if you haven't already. Definitely check out his content. Definitely, I know some people that have talked about his coaching and they've had a lot of good experiences with it. Of course, I wanted him to talk about it on stream, but I do know some people that think he's an excellent coach. And, again, I'm super proud of you and all your accomplishments, dude. It does definitely mean something. So this was awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody in chat. Also, shout out to Princess Hyrule, his SO, and she is an awesome mod in his channel. And shout out to Boo, who guest DJ'd this episode. And yeah, so thank you all so much. We'll see you all next time. And bye, everybody. Wait just 1 second for it to catch up. All right, I'm sure Bees will appreciate the